Hey Rugby fam, jumping in to some Wallabies ratings from a real tough loss against the Springboks as the first game of the Rugby Championship in 2023. Probably one of the more clinical displays, one of the Springboks totally monstering, totally gassing out the Wallabies in a real tough loss. Definitely two sides of the coin. The Springboks played exceptionally well, probably their best game since arguably the World Cup final in 2019. Just totally dominated kicking, territory, possession, tight five, forwards, backline, defensive line, gain line advantage. Just totally dominated everything, and the Wallabies basically went out without firing a shot after the 5th minute, opening up with a scintillating try to Marika Korobete, and once Korobete followed up with, he was in a similar vibe to that Adelaide Mapimpi hit. But after about 20 minutes, the hits went quiet. The shots were fired, and the Springboks just steamrolled us on the high veld. Not much to really gain out of the game. Some Flim Flammers, some Razzle Dazzlers in terms of player ratings, but ultimately just a real tough loss. To think that Eddie Jones' tenure at England started off with a 3-0 whitewashing of Australia for the first time in Australia. To open up with this was a bloody knife in the heart. It was a real tough loss, real tough game to watch. Here's to Eddie turning it around, but it was just, Wallabies were just monstered, feasted upon, and then, yeah. So, rating the forward pack, the Wallabies forward pack, out of 5, screw it, let's go to a 10. Out of 10, Wallabies forward pack, real tough day at the office, a 2. I thought there was glimpses for about 20 minutes of performances. Scrum held strong. Line out looked pretty good, albeit the opening try coming off a line out turnover, but can't give more than a 2. Backs, I give them a 3. I think comparatively to the forward pack that were totally monstered, the backs did well enough without doing anything. Basically, they didn't really fire a shot. They didn't get to fire a shot. So a 3 out of 10. Again, based on some individual brilliance from Carter Gordon to set up a consolation try, and the awesome brilliance that is Marika Korobete to open up the scoring. Again, the back line didn't really light anything on fire, but outperformed the forward pack. Solid 3 out of 10 for the back line. So let's dive on to some player ratings. The top 5, type 5, the Razzle Dazzlers. Again, topping out the top of the pops today, Marika Korobete. A solid 6, albeit, from the Wallabies winger. John Eales medalist 2 times over now. I think he's on track to light up and claim that medal again. Whether he can continue to work and expand on that will be what we see for the rest of the year roll out. He was in that vibe for about 20 minutes. Big wing try, big hits on his opposing winger, really trying to tighten the screws. Was hungry, looking for work. And then the tide of the game, like I said, territory, kicking, possession, blah, 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 it goes on, was just turned, and he put in a bit of a ghost-like performance for the rest of the game, coming alive briefly after some Carter Gordon individual brilliance to help set him up for the consolation try at the end. But yeah, top of the pops, coming in at a 6 out of 10 is pretty indicative of where the Wallabies game was at. Number 2, Carter Gordon, 11 minutes on the pitch, but did enough in my mind, and hopefully in Eddie's mind, to earn a starting position against Los Pumas in Sydney. Really was able to see the gain line, the fast defensive line of the Springboks, put in a quick chip kick, opened up and scored a try in those 11 minutes, albeit the forward pass thrown in there, some defensive misses, but some really exciting stuff from a player who's used to playing in a scrum that's wheeling in reverse. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for Carter Gordon, really solid 10 minutes. If he had more time on the pitch, arguably probably could have been the top performer. But yeah, can't go much more than 5 with so little time on the pitch, all being lining it up. Number 3, Big Bobby V. The only forward that could really hold his own against the dominant Springbok pack. I feel like he was the one who was able to bend the defensive line, that hard steel of the defensive line of the Springboks that game. So yeah, coming in at a 5 as well for Bobby V. Again, some upright carries and not really hitting his straps as he normally would, kicking on from Super Rugby. But a solid performance and a bending of the line gets him the 5, gets him the 3rd position. Then, Steal My Sunshine, Lenny Ikitau coming in at a 5 as well. Super solid in the defensive line. Dropped off a slick pass to Tommy Wright to help set up Morika's first score. And again, in the epitome of solidness is Lenny Ikitau, the link man. Keeping it all together, I think he kept the Wallabies in the game with his defensive structure and abilities. 5 for Lenny Ikitau. And then wrapping up the top 5, I think this is a bit of a controversial one, given some of the line-out wobbles and eventually conceding a penalty try and a yellow card. Dave Porecki, I think certainly you noticed it when Jordan Elise came on to replace him. I think we really need someone with the technical skills of Porecki. Throwing in straight in the line-out and scrumming well. I thought the scrum ultimately did hold strong-ish in that first half while he was on. And just even in his yellow card, being the last man standing against a whole Springbok pack, it was bound to happen. Never good to concede a yellow card, but ultimately would have scored higher out of 10, but a 5 out of 10 for Porecki. I thought really put in a solid shift and something that he's come to put in again and again in the Wallabies jumper. That's the Razzle Dazzlers, the Flim Flam Flummoxes, on the lower end. For the Wallabies, Suli Vunivalu. I clocked him in as a 1. I desperately want him to succeed in the role, and I hope he gets another start to prove me and everyone else wrong. But he still looks like he's learning the game, learning the structures, learning all the ins and outs of being a rugby winger. I need to hook into some NRL highlight reels of him because there's a reason why he's poached. There's a reason why Eddie rates him so high, but he just hasn't shown it. He's shown only glimpses, even in this match, a glimpse here or there about him potentially making a break, lighting up. But even when he was in space, he didn't really kick on. He was not playing to the ref's whistle and wasn't able to unleash. And then, the yellow card, again, that's just pressure. Nothing to look into too much there. But, hope he gets another start, another chance of redemption, because I desperately want him to kick on. Similar vein, another Reds man coming in at the Flim Flammers, Zane Nogga, on debut against the Bomb Squad is always going to be a really, really tough assignment. I thought his first scrum attempt, albeit it getting called up and reset, I thought his first scrum was solid against the Bomb Squad, but then eventually the tide turned against him and the Wallabies scrum was on reverse roller skates. Which he ultimately has to pay responsibility for. A strong shift, but ultimately a 3 for Zane. Wrapping out the third bottom of the performers in the Wallabies team, Nick White makes a rare appearance in this bundle. Just very ineffective kicking. I think the Wallabies gained something when Terrific Tate jumped on, but little Nicky being held up and manhandled into a maul was definitely just a tail of the tape, and tail that showed his performance was far below his normal best. Coming over to the ratings wall here, rating this game on a watchability scale. Let's go, say, top of the pops, beating England in the Rugby World Cup final in England. Bottom of the pops, bottom of the table, losing 3-0 at home to England. I wouldn't say losing the World Cup at home against England because that was actually a pretty cracking match. Somewhere in between, this game, really, really low. Just it's the hope that kills you. As a lifelong Wallabies fan, this has to go somewhere towards that bottom third. Real tough game to watch. Thanks, team.